Welcome to Brilliantly British. My name is Lawrence, and really I am so proud, so happy to introduce to you this. This is a Lardy cake. It is deliciously rich, satisfying, and it is an age-old recipe. So, as I show you how to make it, in that chair of yours with a cup of tea in hand, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Here on the channel, we've introduced you to these 7 fantastic cakes.
Hello.
And today, we're going to show you how to make another one. I bet he's going to be so sweet. I think he'll have a good crust on him. Nothing like a good crust.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say,
yeah.
definitely.
So, what cake is he? Well, today our viewers will learn how to make Lardy cake. The cake, which originated in the county of Wiltshire, the location of these stumps that no one's heard of, this stately animal park, which you should definitely visit, and Salisbury Cathedral, not Salisbury, which was once the world's tallest, until... Anyway, Lardy cake was originally baked for special occasions, as the sugar and dried fruit were considered luxuries when it was first conceived. The making of this cake is simple and of course really rewarding. Just look at this. Look at this. So, with all that being said, for today's Brilliantly British Lardy cake, you will need some white bread flour, warm milk, sugar, an egg, a lardberg, which is my way of saying that you will need a lot of lard for this recipe. You will need some dried fruit. It's up to you. You can go for raisins, sultanas, or an assortment. You will also need some candied peel if you don't have some, and you also can't find some in your local shops. Guys, we've got you covered here. Follow the link up there and learn how to make some in our dedicated candied peel making episode. You will need also some yeast, fresh or dry. That's totally up to you. And you will need some salt. That's it for the ingredients of the Lardy cake. But guys, hydration is important to us on the Brilliantly British channel. We think it ought to be important to you too. So guys, brew yourself a nice cup of hot tea so that you can sip on that whilst you bake. Ideally, for best results, you want to start making your Lardy cake a day in advance. And so to start ourselves off, what I'm going to do in this jug of warm milk, I'm going to add my sugar and dissolve the sugar in the milk. Just before I add my yeast, I'm going to check the temperature of my mixture here just to make sure it's not too hot, because if it is hotter than 37 degrees body temperature, you'll end up killing your yeast. In goes my yeast, and then I'll whisk that until that also has dissolved completely in my solution. Okay, solution made. Let's give the yeast some time to wake up, and I'm just going to put that to one side and then show you what to do next. The next thing to do whilst we give our yeast some time is to season our flour and pour it into a large bowl in preparation for the mixing and kneading that is to come. With the trusty end of my spoon, I'll then mix the 2 dry ingredients that I've got here together. After having given my yeast enough time to form a frothy layer on top, what I'll do now is crack an egg into my wet mixture, whisk that or mix that together until it's homogeneous, and then slowly trickle that into my dry ingredients to begin to form a dough. If on the other hand, you do not, after 10 to 20 minutes, see signs that your yeast is alive, then you will have to make a fresh mixture. At this point, you don't want to worry too much about mixing the dough thoroughly. As you can see on screen now, this is what it should look like. And at this stage, it is what we would call a shaggy dough. What you want to do now is allow the dough to rest for about 10 minutes whilst covered. This gives the flour enough time to absorb the moisture that you've put into it, which will give us the best results later on. So I will see you in just a moment. Welcome back. Okay, our dough has rested. And in the meantime, as you can see, I cleaned the surface to perfection in preparation for the kneading step that is to come. So let's do it. The dough has rested. It's absorbed all of the moisture that we've put into it. Now what you want to do is turn it out onto your clean work surface to knead it. And you actually want to knead it for about 10 minutes. This way you will have sufficiently developed the gluten and will have sufficiently mixed the ingredients within your dough thoroughly. What you then want to do after you've kneaded your dough for 10 minutes is form it into a nice taut ball. Then you want to lubricate the bowl that you mixed in with some oil, and then take your dough, placing it into that bowl, lubricating the top of the dough so that as it ferments, as it proves, it doesn't form a hard, dry layer, and then cover the bowl with a warm, damp towel before placing the whole thing in the fridge to ferment overnight for best results. With the dough in the fridge, the last thing to do a day ahead is to prepare your fruit, and do this by simply soaking them in some cold water and then placing them to one side or in your fridge. That's it. To make the lardy, cream lard and sugar in a large bowl until light and fluffy. What I'll also do just before we get started is line my tray with foil and baking paper. Fermenting the dough overnight in the fridge yielded this amazing looking thing. But before we get carried away, turn it out onto a floured surface, rolling it into a 40 by 30 centimeter rectangle. Now would also be a good time to begin preheating your oven. With that done, evenly spread your lardy, then scatter your soaked fruit and your candied peel before beginning to roll the dough. To finish rolling, crimp along the seam and push in the ends to seal the contents in before moving to one side. The next part is a bit weird and fiddly. Weird because of how it looks, fiddly because, well, you'll see. And so, finally proceed by gently zigzagging the pastry into your baking tray. With the lardy cake in the tray, line a second larger tray for the primary tray to sit on. This will protect your oven from any spills whilst the cake bakes, which is exactly what you should do right now. When baked, the lardy cake should look something like this hot, aromatic, bubbling beauty on screen now. The next thing to do when cooked involves leaving the cake to cool completely. This is crucial. Honestly, a previous version ended up being cut too early and well, it was a complete disaster. So please be patient. Tasting. This lardy cake has been left to cool completely, and underneath I can see that it's got this wonderful syrup caramel looking, it just looks amazing underneath. So I'm gonna flip it, show you what it looks like underneath, and then we're going to cut into it. And I'll give you the verdict about how good this is. All right, let's do it. Peel away all of these layers. Oh yes. Oh yes. Just look at this. Look at this. Beautiful, stunning. Man, I can't wait to see what this looks like on the inside. You can see the ring pattern going through it. Beautiful. Now, after having waited for this thing to cool, that leaves us with one more thing to do. My dear viewers, I have a piece in hand, a cup of tea within arm's reach, as you can see. So, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Wow. This is amazing. No, this is amazing. I mean, the flavors that are going on in here, the syrup that developed, it's wonderfully light. Yeast in cakes, these old traditional cakes, is amazing. I can't understand why these things have almost died and been forgotten, left in the history books. This is something that needs to be revived, honestly. You need to try this. You need to make this and tell everyone you know about this. It is delicious, and I can't stress enough as a Brit, having a tea at hand with something like this, it just is. It has to be that way. I mean, and you see, tea cleanses your palate, and then you can just go in for another bite. It's amazing, stunning. Guys, please, I implore you, make this. please. Thank you all for allowing me to have the pleasure of showing you how to make this Lardy cake. Knowing that you like this episode, don't forget to click on the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button so that you don't miss any of our new releases. Tell everyone you know about the Brilliantly British food on this channel and follow us on all of the social media platforms that this channel is on. And I will see you next time.